Hey there, I just wanted to mention real fast. If you randomly discovered this video and you recommend it or something, then I think it's in your best interest to know that this is part 2 of a 3-part, probably, series I'm making for the first God of War game. If you decide to watch this video first for some reason, it's not going to make any sense with the rest of the series, so the first part will be in the description. And also, if you clicked on this video and immediately looked away, then hey, there's a content warning in here. If you've never seen the first God of War game before, then it might be wise for you to take a look and make sure all of these trigger warnings here won't upset you or anything. The game is graphic and gratuitous, and if that's news to you, then there are worse ways to figure that out. Other than that, I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so we just got level 3 blades, which is pretty cool, but it's even more cool because this is the first time I want to mention a specific move that the level 3 blades give us. So as long as you have the Blades of Chaos equipped, you can do a shoulder bash with the R1 button. This doesn't sound like anything to write home about by itself, but specifically, if you've been around the speedrunning circle for God of War, or in my case have just been watching speedruns of this game, what you might be quick to realize is that if you decide to chain together a dodge direction and the shoulder bash, it results in really fast movement. Easily the fastest movement in the game for sure. It's just kinda weird though, because the second and third games don't give us access to a shoulder bash or anything. Despite those games controlling very similarly, the next fastest movement is simply just doing the dodge button. It's not like doing this movement tech is a make or break for the game or anything, but once you know that it exists, it does make it really convenient, and I wish there was just some equivalent in the other games, I guess. That being said, if there is one, I obviously don't know about it, so maybe we see something like this in the future.
Do not fear, Kratos. I am the Oracle of Athens, here to help you defeat Ares. Find my temple to the east, and I will show you how to murder a god.
God of War, I haven't forgotten you. For what you did that night, this city will be your grave.
Well, what do you know, it's the man of the hour. I really like this introduction a lot. It's like he doesn't even pay mind to Kratos at all. A lot of this game has and will continue to lead up to fighting this guy, but the most we can manage to do right now is get this far-off glimpse of him. And I don't know, that's just kinda neat to me. It's almost like we have to earn even the ability to be the threat to this guy. And man, just talk about like a simple, organic way to introduce a villain. He doesn't even say a word, just does some destruction in the background. And on a scale so impossibly huge that it's immediately daunting. So even though there are 2 paths as soon as we see Ares for the first time, going right won't get us anywhere right now. This game is still linear after all, and we need a key to progress right now. So I guess we'll just make our way to the Oracle then. So this particular fight sorta comes out of nowhere, and it's not because of the combat itself. This is, by all technicalities, our first puzzle combat section. What I mean to say is, basically, since we just got Medusa's head, we're able to turn these minotaurs into stone statues, and we have to in order to get them to weigh down that pressure plate in the center of the room. If we don't do this, they're just going to continuously spawn over and over again. That's also why there's a magic chest in the middle of this room, and why the only enemies that spawn here are the minotaurs. Their hammer variants specifically get a range attack, which can be a little annoying, especially if you're trying to open up that chest. But they give you the slow lumbering enemies for a reason, and it's because you have to turn them into a statue. In the footage here, I spent way too long figuring that out, but I still didn't die to it, so, you know, that's good. Let's just move on. So this section is pretty cool. Running around in the streets of Athens, you have the ability to walk into these individual buildings. The set piece of the buildings exploding and having, like, fireballs and other projectiles being launched at them is obviously pretty neat. The houses themselves, though, are just a little interesting, simply because if you're being as thorough as possible, you can break down just about every one of the doors and see if there's any loot inside. This just gets a little bit annoying because not every house is going to have loot in it. And again, the red orb economy is pretty awful, so it is worth it to go through as many of these buildings as you can. If you want me to give you a cohesive guide on which buildings have red orb chests or unmarked chests in them, sorry, I don't have one. If you're interested in upgrading everything, then go ahead and just loot all the buildings and see what they have. If you're not super interested in that, then just run through the area, it'll be fine. I will also take this time to mention real quickly though, that if you see any humans running around, they can also be attacked. While normally in most video games you would be punished for killing innocent people, this of course is God of War, and more specifically, it's the first 3 God of War games. Which means you actually get rewarded for doing so, but not with red orbs. Humans are a consistent way to refill your health if you decide to attack them. This can be either with a grab attack or just regularly swinging a weapon at them. You won't see very many regular mortal people running around in these games, but specifically in a lot of the earlier games, it can be a good way to keep your health up if you're still trying to get a grip with the controls and everything. It's an interesting way to balance something that could be pretty helpful from an early player standpoint, especially considering just how sadistic it is. You know what's another noise that lives rent-free in my head? Nice. It kinda sucks that this segment can be so long in the tooth if you're looking for everything and looking at everything. Even when you're making your way up these stairs, more doors can be broken, and you can even break these statues for some orbs. Which, I mean, yeah, they're useful. It just kinda sucks that I feel like I have to do it, you know? So let me go ahead and reintroduce you to the Cyclops for a minute. The reason I say reintroduce is because these are kind of truer Cyclopses. The ones we were fighting back whenever we were in the beginning of Athens were kinda pushovers. For how big they were, it was kind of weird to find them with such a low health bar, and also they just were super easy to avoid. But for some reason, these naked, wilder Cyclopses are far more dangerous, despite not being armored and using a worse weapon. Once again, you can't block them, so, you know, just avoid whatever attacks you can. But I sort of feel like every attack that has to do with their club, with these version of the Cyclops in specific, seem to just be much harder to dodge. Like they have really, really good tracking or something. I'm not sure what it is. Oh yeah, so Rage of the Gods. What makes this transformation cool? Well, arguably its best part is that it gives you attacks that can't be interrupted. By which I mean it also gives you an entirely new moveset. Minor spoilers for rest of the God of War games, but we actually get a Rage mode in every one of the games. But in respect with this one in this first game, I kinda feel like it's a weird black sheep almost. I always kinda felt like a Rage mode in a God of War game was best used whenever you were literally angry and over whatever you were fighting. In which case, I think the best one is the one from the second game, so if you were wondering my opinion of which one I think is the best one, it's the second one for me, and I'm only saying it here in case I forget. I probably won't, but just in case. It just feels a lot more angrier in that game. A lot more freer form and just, I don't know, get out of my face, I'm gonna turn into a blender now. But with Rage of the Gods, the rage mode in the first game, it kind of feels uncharacteristically stylish almost. I don't know how else to describe it, it's sort of weird to me. It is really cool though, I'm not knocking it at all, trust me. Also, if you're wondering what Kratos looks like whenever the transformation is turned on, it's really cool Spartan armor, here's a picture. It's like cool ethereal lightning armor, I don't know, it's really neat. I like the design. The last thing I'll note about Rage of the Gods is that it takes a really, really long time to charge up. Luckily though, there is a, you can call it auditory cue for whenever it's ready to go again. You can only pop it whenever it's full, but basically if you hear Athena talking to you randomly unprompted, then it means your Rage of the Gods is good to go again.
Stay away! Don't come near me!
Yeah, that's right, we got even more stuff to break in here. You would think the orb payout is actually pretty good, but it's kind of just whatever.
I know who you are! I know what you've done! Monster!
Wait!
Stay back! Get away from me! Stay away! Don't come near me! Keep away!
Oops. So yeah, you've probably been noticing that I've been skipping around this segment a lot, and it's because specifically in the Temple of Athena, or whatever you want to call this area, you actually have to immediately backtrack through it twice. First for its little quiet moment thing, and then as soon as the oracle or whatever falls, you have to get the key off of her and then immediately go through the entire area again. But this time there's enemies, so at least we have a little bit something to talk about now. Shield Legionnaires can kinda seem annoying at first glance, but they're really not that bad. They can block most of your attacks, even ones relegated to magic, which is certainly an issue, but the main way to counter them is simply just do whatever attack ends in Kratos slamming his blades in the ground. The tutorial for this tells you to do the square-square-triangle combo, and that is the quickest way to do it, but what it doesn't tell you is that it might be wisest to get some space first. They're really, really good at interrupting your attacks, specifically with the shield, and if they do that, then it means they're just going to be wasting a lot of time. Once their shield is broken though, they go back to being regular Legionnaires, so do whatever you want to them there. Alright, we finally made our way back up, let's open up this trapdoor. Why the music? All I did was open up a gate. It's not that cool.
Go, go, go!
It might seem a little bit early to bring this up, but God of War definitely has something of a padding issue, I think. I kinda wanted to save it for the worst offender, but I also think just seeing, like, weird backtracking and stuff this early in the game is a pretty big indicator that it's one of the more egregious examples of why this game maybe isn't perfect. It's almost never a big deal except for in its worst cases, but at the same time, it's, I don't know, it feels kind of weird and very, I guess, early 2000s. Check out this environment, though. Cinematography, and if not just shot composition, is a really, really important thing to this series. Even when you're not doing anything important, it still goes a long way to just have something happening, something for you to look at or experience. Like, I don't know, this is just cool. And there's really not that many games in the PS2 library that even did anything remotely close to this. Wraiths are often regarded as one of the worst enemies in the original God of War game. The reason for this, I think, is because half of the time you can't even really attack them. They have this move where they basically burrow into the ground, and if they approach you in this state, then they'll end up doing a bunch of rapid hit attacks. There's no way to get them out of the ground when they do this, and you just have to simply block and wait for their attack to end. On the bright side, though, they're one of the few enemies that you can just freely grab. You don't have to wait for a circle above their head prompt or anything. They also don't have, like, a whole lot of health. They're the kind of enemy that warrant your attention, certainly, but if you just focus fire them, they're not that big of a deal, I don't think. They force you to be defensive, which is kind of the opposite of every other game in this entire series, but I don't know, as long as you know the counterplay, just block, then it's not going to be a big deal. Yeah, Poseidon's Rage is only going to get more stupid as time goes on.
Go, go, go! Ares has breached the city! What will
I must get across! Release the lever! Extend the bridge!
No, no! I won't let them get me. They won't get across. These monsters, they'll tear me apart.
Coward!
Well, that's obviously going to be a problem. How are we going to figure that out? I think I'm starting to see some hints here with these archers out of range and everything. Got another push puzzle here. We're just going to speed this up real quick. Oh, that's kind of interesting. We can use the platform to rotate the ballista. I'm gonna go ahead and save y'all the trouble, though. There's no point in rotating the ballista to aim it towards the open doors or anything. There's no breakable walls there, so just don't worry about it. It'll just waste your time. Why does this symbol look so out of place to me? This looks more like an SSX upgrade or power-up or something. What is this doing here?
Lord Zeus.
Kratos, you grow stronger as your journey continues. But if you are to succeed in your quest, you will need my aid. I offer you the power of the greatest of all the gods, the father of Olympus. I offer you the power of Zeus. Take this weapon, Kratos. Take this power and use it to defeat your enemies. You have done well, Kratos. Go with the gods. Go forth in the name of Olympus.
So, there are exactly two, I guess you can call them gifts of the gods, that get a pretty bad rep in this game. The other one will come quite a bit later, but for now, our first one here is Zeus's Fury. Why all the bad press, though? Well, Zeus's Fury is basically a ranged attack. It's pretty standard, gives you a rapid hit sort of motion with it, hit enemies from far ranges, it does pretty much what you expect it to. Interestingly though, despite this game being inspired by Devil May Cry 1, your ranged option, or what would basically fall in place for Ebony and Ivory, doesn't allow you to move while you're using it. That also coupled with its magic cost efficiency, you could kind of see why it's maybe not the best spell in the game. That being said, I was definitely in the camp of not really liking the spell too much. But actually, giving it some time to really breathe and do its thing, I ended up liking it a lot more than I thought I would. The damage of this thing, especially if you upgrade it, is actually pretty comparable to the rest of your equipment, I guess. I genuinely think the spell is kind of underrated, all things considered. And I know that the further you go along in the series, they kind of handle the other ranged attacks a lot better. But in terms of misstepping, in terms of gameplay design, I don't know, I think they could have done a lot worse. I might be slightly partial to it just because I really like the idea of hucking a lightning bolt at somebody. Throwing a lightning bolt like a spear is cool. Anytime I see somebody doing this in like a Souls game or something, this is usually what I'm thinking about. I think about God of War 1 and how you have Zeus's Fury. I don't know, if you're not a big fan of it personally, maybe try giving it some applications or something. Just give it a chance. I think it is pretty good. Oh yeah, also, before I forget, it's easily the cheapest magic you can upgrade in the game. Like, if you're saving your orbs, by the time you get it, you can immediately get it from level 1 to level 2. It's pretty nice. Thanks for the random Wilhelm scream, what the hell? Also, fun fact, if you're charging Zeus's Fury, you can roll to cancel it. Really nice if you want to save some magic.
Oracle!
Kratos! Praise Athena, you've arrived! Ah! No! Kratos! Kratos, find me! You must find me! Athens depends on it!
Wait a second. That blood splatter wasn't there the first time we were through the Athens town square.
Kratos! Kratos! Help me!
Okay, so 3 things. 1, man, that slowdown was egregious. 2, all of this censoring is starting to make me really nervous. And then 3, I actually never introduced these guys. These are harpies, I'm sure you can tell. And they're only mostly annoying, but they have some good countermeasures to make them a non-issue. They fly high up in the air, so it's hard to hit them with most of your attacks. But they are also the 3rd, I think, enemy you can normally just grab. Specifically, if you do an air grab, you'll slam them back down into the ground. But the ground grab specifically is probably the cheapest and most efficient way to get rid of them. They won't net any orbs if you kill them this way, but even just regularly dealing with them won't net anything more than pocket change anyway, so it's not a big deal. Also, if you just really don't want to deal with them, you have Zeus's Fury, there's that too.
Good, my boy, good. Athena has chosen wisely. I knew it was so.
Who are you?
So, you have the blades, the skin as pale as the moon. You are the one indeed. Perhaps Athens will survive at that. But be careful. Don't want you dying before I'm done with this grave.
A grave? In the middle of a battle? Who will occupy it, old man?
You will, my son. Oh, I've got a lot of digging to do indeed. All will be revealed in good time. And when all appears to be lost, Kratos, I will be there to help. Don't disturb me now, son. I've got my work to do, and you have yours, and precious little time left to do either.
Thank you, suspicious old man, who also shares Zeus's voice actor in this game. I'm sure that's not going to be important later. Sorry, I just really like that noise. I'm gonna go ahead and opt to skip this next cutscene. I'm really tired of putting the sensor bar over stuff. It's just more harpies. We have a room here, basically, that'll infinitely spawn them, and we have to block their spawning points with the big statues at the front of the room. I, once again, took too long to figure that out, but what I can say is that if you come across any room that has infinite spawning enemies, with the exception of this one, it's actually a pretty good way to grind up red orbs. They will eventually stop dropping red orbs, but like I said, if you're trying to upgrade everything in as little playthroughs as possible, it's a good way to do it. Also, pro tip, before you get up on these rafters, make your way to the back of this room on the bottom floor where the camera can't see. There's 2 red chests over there. There's also a chest at the front of the room on top of the rafters too. You just have to break the glass for it. Just save yourself the extra time going through these rafters. It's kinda slow and can get kind of annoying if you have to do it more than once. Oh god, more sensors.
Kratos! Help me! Help me! Kratos! Hurry!
Oh, never mind. I think we might be good, actually. I put a sensor bar there just to be safe, obviously, but I'm pretty sure they forgot to give that harpy nipples. So we're not actually timed here, believe it or not. We will be whenever we get this whole puzzle thing figured out real quick, but there's not really any stress here yet, so just take your time until it gives you the prompt. Speaking of which...
Kratos, I'm slipping! You must get here quickly! I can help you! We can save Athens, but you must hurry!
And with that act, Kratos set in motion the events that would lead to his downfall.
Kratos, as Athena herself has foretold. But you are late, perhaps too late to save Athens. Or is it Athens you have come to save?
No! I can't! We must not stop!
And when the Oracle looked into his soul, she saw a beast as well as a man. Once a captain in the Spartan army, Kratos had begun his command with only 50 soldiers. But soon his numbers grew to the thousands. His tactics were brutal, but effective. Drunk with power, he was feared by all, except one. His wife was the only one to brave his fury.
How much is enough, Kratos? When will it end?
When the glory of Sparta is known throughout the world.
The glory of Sparta. You did this for yourself.
His desire for conquest knew no bounds, but that which he desired would ultimately consume him.
By the gods, why would Athena send one such as you?
Stay out of my head!
Choose your enemies wisely, Kratos. Your brute strength alone will not be enough to destroy Ares. Only one item in the world will allow you to defeat a god. Pandora's box, which lies far beyond the walls of Athens, hidden by the gods across the desert to the east. But be warned, Kratos. Many have gone in search of Pandora's box. None have returned. Go through the gates to the desert, Kratos. There begins the path to Pandora's box. It is the only way you will defeat Ares and save Athens.
Okay, but hold on, there's still chests up in those rafters. Oh yeah! Anybody remember this area? How about now? Yeah, this place is gonna be pretty important all throughout these first 3 games. Or at least the first 2, anyway. I mean, the name certainly gives it away. How many games do you know that has a giant sword bridge anyway? This is neat. Look at it go. Like, I don't know, dude. This is just cool. Alright, so we have a desert to get to. But first, it's sewer time. I kind of feel like the sewers of Athens is sort of like a unforgettable area, or at least it's the one that people remember the least. It's fine, and it's really short for what it's worth, but the color scheme is certainly super unique. I guess it just might be because there's no, like, important story events or anything here. You don't even get, like, a new magic or anything. Even still, like I said, the area itself is just fine. I kind of feel like the competition's pretty stiff, I guess. Like, the rest of the areas usually have something really cool, set-piecey something or other to look at. And if not that, then they give you some sort of new magic or it's important to the story. If there is ever a linear, story-focused game, one where you're basically forced to backtrack through a given area, doing something as simple as a time of day change makes that area feel way more lived in and lifelike. Like, I don't know what it is with this kind of thing, but just having an area go from daytime to nighttime in a game where normally you don't have like a daylight cycle or anything, it's just super cool to me. A sense that time is actually progressing even though really it's just like an event trigger. That's just neat, I really like it.
Kratos, the journey forward is perilous, but one you must complete if you are to have any hope of saving Athens.
The Oracle spoke of Pandora's box. Can it be real?
The box exists. It is the most powerful weapon a mortal can wield.
And with such a weapon, I could defeat Ares.
With the box, many things become possible, and so it is hidden well, far across the desert of lost souls. There is safe passage through the deadly sands, but only those who hear and follow the siren's song will discover it. You must find the sirens, Kratos. Only they can guide you to Kronos, the Titan.
A Titan lives?
Kronos is the last.
Zeus has commanded him to wander the desert endlessly, the temple of Pandora chained to his back, until the swirling sands rip the very flesh from his bones. Stay true to the song of the siren, Kratos. Your journey begins here. Pray it leads you back to Athens, with Pandora's box. Follow the song of the sirens, Kratos. Find and destroy them all, and the path through the deadly sands will be open to you. Song of the sirens, Kratos.
Alright, I heard you the first time, it's fine, whatever. Alrighty, so, welcome to the Desert of Lost Souls. If you can't see anything here, don't worry, nor can I. That's kind of the gimmick of this area. Our main objective right now is to run around and find all the sirens, kill them so that we can open up a door in the middle of the desert. Unfortunately, because of the nature of this area and this game in general, there are missable secrets here. From what I can tell though, there's no eyes or feathers here, just orbs. So if you don't feel like running around aimlessly in the desert, then you can totally skip out if you want to. A lot of this footage is going to look pretty much identical for like 10 minutes, so I'm just going to go ahead and skip around some.
Destroyed, Kratos. The path before you is now revealed.
Okay, cool. The only other thing that I can really mention is that if you're trying to find the sirens, you can hear their song whenever they're close to you. It'll get louder the closer you are. I know that's not a whole lot to go off of, but it's better than nothing. Oh hey, check this room out. This is going to be one of the series' first trap rooms. Essentially, you're going to have some sort of puzzle element, whether it be timed or something else of the sort, while you have to deal with enemies or trying to get something through in a timed manner, or it can be anything. For instance, here has a conveyor belt. It'll basically continuously move in one direction until finally reaching some sort of crusher at the end of the room. You have to try to push this block all the way to the end of the room so that you can use it as a platform. All the while, you have enemies to deal with, which can obviously get in the way if you're trying to make good progress. Thankfully, for right now, they're just legionnaires, and also, if you're trying to wedge the block in between those pillars, that does work to get it stuck. You could basically use them as checkpoints to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. I know this doesn't really sound like a whole lot to write home about right now, but let it be known that this is just a modest start to what this concept would eventually become. And this is also the least egregious example of one of these. Some of them can get pretty bad. Yeah, you know, just casually part of Sand Sea, no big deal. Oh, right, I guess we can take this time to explain sirens a little bit. Sirens are mostly just kinda weird in the first God of War game. They don't really do anything all that unique. Whenever you kill them, they actually drop exactly 1 health orb and 1 magic orb, which doesn't actually equate to any numbers of any kind, it's just a little health and a little magic, for whatever that's worth. They're about as evasive as Gorgons, but not nearly as dangerous because they can't do the stone stare. They also have this weird pull attack, which is just kind of annoying. But probably the weirdest part is that they only show up in the desert for some reason. And just the desert. Not even Pandora's Temple, it's just literally here. So they're used exactly for a gimmick encounter and then a regular fight in one room. What? Sure, I mean, I guess.
Kronos, the last of the mighty Titans, emerged from the desert sands. On his back, Pandora's temple awaited, massive and patient, ready to challenge all who went in search of its guarded treasure. For 3 days, Kratos climbed the sheer walls of the mountain. He knew he would either recover Pandora's box or perish inside the cursed temple, never to return to the world of man.
Yeah, well, this next section is gonna feel like 3 more days. Yeah, so interesting thing about the blade inconsistency in cutscenes. It's one of those things that when you notice it, you're gonna be able to just not stop noticing it, basically. My best guess is that they basically planned for where a player would roughly be through their playthrough and how upgraded the blades are. But I have no idea who would have level 4 or level 5 blades by now. That seems ridiculous. Alright, well I think that about does it for part 2 of God of War 1. Don't forget to like and subscribe for part 3. Hopefully it'll be the last part, but given the Temple of Pandora's entire being, I kinda doubt that. We'll have to see. Once again, to vary up the upload schedule a little bit, I'm gonna upload something else before I get on with the next God of War part. But that being said, I upload every Friday, and if you like what I make, then stick around and subscribe. If you're feeling extra charitable, then I also have a Patreon. It's got a single $1 a month tier, and donating to that will give you access to a Discord and have your name at the end of these videos read aloud. With all that out of the way though, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Hope you enjoyed and have a good day, everybody.